Minutes to talk about those A, B, or C templates. The ones that are like, oh, I haven't heard from you. I assume you've been eaten by an alligator. I'm not a huge fan of them. Alex, I'd love to hear your opinion on these templates, and then I'll weigh in.
Yeah, so for a little more context, you're talking about the ones that are like, haven't heard from you in a while. It's safe to assume that it's either because A, eaten by an alligator, B, you don't have the time, or C, you're not interested, right?
That's usually it's the other way around, but yes.
I mean, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think using the humorous line is kind of stupid. I don't want to say stupid, but like they're not responding to you, right? The reason you're sending this out is it's basically like, should I stop reaching out? Just give me something, right? You're grabbing for something. Yep. And I think going away from being relevant is not the right direction to go. If you want to make your A, B, C, or even D, if you want to make those options like relevant things, like you're already using one of our competitors and aren't looking to purchase anything new or make any changes, etc. It's things like that. Great. I'm a big fan of that because it's short. The bullets are easier to read than say like a couple paragraphs or sentences. And you know that at the most, they're just going to glance at it anyway, right? And probably they're not even going to read it. So that's when I think it's okay to use it. But throwing the humor in and making just like is not a best practice for me. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh man, A+ goofy impression, first of all. No, I both agree and disagree with you in the sense that I tend to not like breakup emails altogether because this screams like breakup email to me. You know, I've reached out a handful of times. I haven't heard from you. This is my last ditch effort to try and get in touch with you. I personally don't believe that there should ever be a last ditch effort. You should be adding value continually throughout the engagement. Whether you space it out by a couple of days or a couple of months, you're never really stopping the prospecting process because in between all of those emails or phone calls, you should be engaging with people on social, commenting on their posts, sending them articles that you think would be valuable. So like there's never a breakup in my mind. And it's almost a way of like, so first of all, you're not adding realistically any value in a typical breakup email like this, which is strike number one for me. But strike number two, it's like, you're doing it in a way that you almost admit that what you've done so far hasn't worked. And the value that you're attempting to deliver hasn't resonated. So you almost like rely on these tactics of humor or pattern interrupts that don't actually help to the prospect in any capacity, but give you a way to stand out or at least be like, hey, look at me, I'm trying to be funny, like you should reach out to me. It's baseless isn't the right word that I would use to describe it, but it's almost like trickery in a way. And I'd rather you just like focus on delivering value in that sense.
Yeah, and I think that's an important note to make about like breakup emails because I don't know, maybe the analogy doesn't work as well as it used to because you're right. We need to like continue reaching out to these people. You can't just break up and then get back together with them. Bad practice in life, bad practice in sales development, right? So I think the ability to also include something in these emails where you know they're probably not going to respond and you know that there's a next step somewhere, right? So assuming they're a target account or you've identified them as the right person, either marketing's going to start following up with them or you're just going to wait until next month or next quarter. Like at some point they're going to get back in the system. So if you're sending an email like this, the least you could do is at least say like, marketing will be in touch. And if you want to reach out to a specific person, like I'm always here for you, that sort of thing. But yeah, you're right. Just putting A, B, and C where it doesn't provide value, it also just cuts off the relationship, right? You're like, all right, well, done with that. And then if you try to restart it again, it's weird, especially if you leave and somebody else picks up that account, it's even more awkward for them. And they don't even know what you did most of the time unless you have a very clean sales force.
And more than likely you don't, just based on what we've seen. I today, on this day of all days, received an email from a company that had been prospecting me in the past. I went through the whole sales cycle. I got that A, B, or C template at the end of one SDR's sequence. I did finally respond to them with just like a, not right now, we're not looking, whatever. Today, I received an email from a different SDR at the same company with zero context behind any conversation that I had previously. It was as if it was a net new account, never been touched. Super awkward. So like you said, if you don't have a clean Salesforce process and there is like handover like that, using a breakup template kind of hurts you in the long run. So I would recommend not using it, or at least in your sense, like you were talking about, injecting value as sort of like a last touch. Like, hey, I know I haven't heard from you. Here's some last bit of information. I'll reach out in a month. Marketing will reach out in a month.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's not a breakup email. It's a see you later email. All right, AJ, 15 seconds. Tell everybody about opt-in.
Opt-in, quick 5-ish minute videos, actionable sales development tips, minimal fluff. You can find us on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on our Instagram, and on the website, demanddrive.com.
No. We don't need to record this. That's fine. I just wanted to talk with Alex for 5 minutes. Said nobody ever.
I mean, you should probably start putting a timer on our conversations. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going and going and going.
All right.
Going.